Bad Bunny or Romeo Santos?
No! Why would you fucking ask me that? No, I'm not gonna lie.
Love me some Bad
Yo, that man's toxic as hell, but I love it.
Last time, I went into detail on why many people hate Lori from The Walking Dead, but it turns out there's another woman in the apocalypse who managed to rack up even more hate than the mama who spun the block on her husband's best friend. That woman is none other than Andrea Harrison. Girl. Here, I thought Lori was a clown for the nonsense she was pulling, but Andrea? She was the head of the circus. During her 3-season run, Andrea never really earned much love from the fan base, which is shocking considering how different and far more admired her comic book version is. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we're diving into the reasons why The Walking Dead fandom seems to despise Andrea even more than Lori. Believe it or not, Andrea wasn't always a terrible character. Listen, I know that's crazy to say out loud. We first encounter Andrea after Rick pops off multiple rounds in downtown Atlanta, ringing the undead dinner bell. When he and Glenn enter the store, Andrea appears, gun pointed directly at Rick's face, furious because he has just let a horde right to their door, talking about, "You just killed us all." We then transition to the roof and Merle knocking everybody out. And this unique gem from Walking Dead history.
There are no niggers anymore. Only dark meat and white meat.
That's actually wild for Rick to say. So you're telling me there's no more racism because walkers exist? Rick, be so for real. Andrea was only acting hostile because she had a sister back at camp she wanted to return to. Andrea apologizes for nearly blowing his head off, confessing that she was afraid and acted on impulse. Rick, being officer friendly, takes it in stride and says,
Next time, though, take the safety off. Won't shoot otherwise.
Andrea may have appeared out of control at first, intense, emotional, and maybe unpredictable. However, her action was motivated by fear and survival. From my point of view, it looks like they were setting Andrea up to be a compelling and layered character. She later reunites with her younger sister Amy, who was sweet, hopeful, and tragically innocent. At the same time, Andrea stands out as one of the few willing to confront Carol's abusive husband, Ed.
Let me tell you something right now. Let me tell you something right now. At the end of the day, I will fuck you up.
Andrea, who steps in and confronts him immediately. If there is one thing about Andrea, she isn't afraid of clashing against someone head on. She doesn't ignore unfair treatment, and she will not remain silent while someone is going through pain. All the signs were there. Andrea was supposed to grow into something powerful, but as we all see, outside forces would eventually steer her story down a very different path. We later see her have a conversation with her sister about their father, setting up the heartbreak of what happens next. Because of course, in true Walking Dead fashion, Amy gets bitten and dies in that very same episode. Again, this is what bothers me, not to go off track, but nobody, you telling me nobody in that whole entire camp heard the walkers pull up? Nobody at all. No moans or groans. Like, what variant of walkers are these? Are these like the ninja type ones that they're just silent, then they make noise when they pull up? I'm confused. It's just me? Alright then. When Rick tries to comfort Andrea as she grieves over Amy's body, she pulls her Glock on him real quick, echoing Rick's own advice from earlier.
I know how the safety works.
Andrea confesses that she was never really there for Amy, not when she needed her growing up, and certainly not when it mattered most. Losing her sister in such a brutal way breaks her, and when you add the likelihood that the rest of her family back in Florida is also gone, it's easy to understand why her mental state starts to crumble. By the end of season 1, Dr. Jenner's grim revelation at the CDC that the world they knew is truly gone, that there's no cure, no hope, we're all about to get bodied, only deepens that despair. For Andrea, it's the final nail to the coffin. Her guilt, grief, and hopelessness all collide at once, planting the seeds for the suicidal thoughts that will haunt her moving forward. After hearing the full truth from Dr. Jenner, Andrea begins to slowly, almost quietly decide to give up on life. From her perspective, what's left to fight for? Her sister is gone, her family in Florida is almost certainly dead, and now the one man who seems to know anything about what's happening has just confirmed that humanity is clapped. To Andrea, existence itself starts to feel pointless. Like, why am I trying to survive in a world with no purpose but despair and a chance of being gobbled up by some undead corpses? Like, in Andrea's mind, this isn't about weakness, it's about control. She didn't ask to live in this nightmare, and if she can't change the circumstances, she at least wants to decide how and when her story ends. If I want to get bodied by blowing myself up, then let me blow myself up. That's why it's so strange and and baffling to me that there are so many fans that vilify her for feeling suicidal in that moment. Andrea has been through so much shit in the last 24 hours leading up to this moment. Because we're gonna be honest with each other right here, right now. If any of us were suddenly dropped into the same situation as Andrea, facing the slow, suffocating horror of an undead apocalypse, most of us wouldn't be half as brave as we claim online. I have admitted several times in past videos I'm not trying no apocalypse, especially if it's a World War Z type virus. But this moment of despair isn't just tragedy for tragedy's sake, it's the foundation of her arc. From here, Andrea begins the long, painful process of learning how to survive for herself, rediscovering not just the will to live, but the reason to. This is also the point where the show begins to develop Andrea's relationship with Dale. I would also like to mention that in the comics, they had a romantic and sexual relationship, and I'm honestly happy the show didn't go down that route. I'm just like, ugh. After Amy's death, Andrea is drowning in grief and Dale steps in, genuinely wanting to help her through it. His concern feels well-intentioned, but there's an underlying tension that he's protective to the point of being controlling. The loss of her sister was meant to be the emotional furnace that changed her, the agony that would make her stronger, but her character's trajectory drastically changed when the new writers took over after they fired Frank Darabont. Let's just say whoever was writing Andrea for season 2 and 3, they fumbled the bag majorly. Season 2 gives Andrea an arc centered entirely around control. After Dale robs her of the choice to die at the CDC, it turns into an effort to regain her independence. Her need to feel like she is once again in charge of making her own decisions. Her resolve is to learn how to fight, and even her developing bond with Shane. Her turning point begins when she starts pushing back against Dale. She wants her Glock back. Give me my piece. Give me my piece. Because Dale took her gun away because he's afraid she'll blow her brains out at the first chance she gets. When Dale refuses to give back her gun, in a way, he inadvertently pushed her more into Shane's direction. Andrea starts to see someone who is a lot like her, the black sheep, the lone wolf, the outcast isolated from the group. Shane. When she offers him the chance to leave together, it's not even about attraction or trust. It's Andrea reaching for the one thing that she's been denied since the CDC, the freedom to choose her own path. And can you imagine if Shane and Andrea actually dipped out? The writers missed a golden opportunity by not having the two of them leave together in season 2, only to return later as hardened survivors. Not to mention, Andrea was also the only one that reached out to Shane, and with their bond deepening, it also fueled her growth. Andrea started stepping up more, defending herself, taking initiative, and proving she can carry her own weight. Her transformation shows when she starts training with firearms. Despite having almost no experience with a sniper rifle, she ends up being a surprisingly good shot.
No! It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Unintentionally striking Daryl from the RV, even though it was a major oopsie-daisy, Andrea felt immense guilt and even apologized, taking accountability. Shane then gives her one-on-one firearm training.
Right there, that's the walker that got Amy. Now you shoot that son of a bitch, shoot him!
Okay, that was a dick move mentioning her sister, but that was Shane's own way of guiding her, and it does help Andrea grow. Of course, things escalate beyond mentorship. I mean, can we blame her or Lori for jumping Shane? He is played by none other than John Berthnall. You would think after this they would end up together, but no, it was just a one-time casual hookup. By the end of the season, the two people that was anchoring to Andrea, Dale and Shane, they're killed off, and Andrea is separated from the group, meeting her future bestie, the melanated queen herself, Michonne. From this point forward, season 3 is the beginning of the end of Andrea and her character assassination. As soon as season 3 premiered, the decline of Andrea began. The moment she meets the governor, her ability to make cognitive decisions is thrown out the window. It felt like she was sidelined and became the governor's shadow, far away from the action. Sure, you can argue that she was fascinated by what the governor was building, but it makes no sense that she would ignore the tanks full of decapitated heads, the arena fights, and most importantly, Michonne, the person who literally saved her life. especially since last season when Glenn revealed the walkers are in the barn. Andrea was down to get rid of them or leave, so why does this psycho get a pass? But then again, I have to remind myself that Andrea fell hard for the governor's Prince Charming routine, his polished, confident demeanor in the order he imposed on Woodbury. It's easy for us to blame her, but Andrea has been through the thick of it. She and Michonne survived months in a harsh winter and always looking over her shoulder. Arriving in Woodbury felt like a utopia, a flicker of normalcy, a feeling of hope that she most likely hasn't felt in a long time. Woodbury presented the alluring prospect that the old world, or at least a version of it, could be rebuilt for someone like her who has experienced so much trauma and loss. While I understand Andrea's perspective, I can't let it slide. The part that really gets under my skin and the part that turns so many fans against her is how Andrea consistently chose the governor over Michonne, someone who had been her ride or die for months. Michonne didn't trust Philip. Anyone with eyes could see he was a psycho. Andrea has so many chances to see it, but always chose him. Think about it, she known Michonne for 8 months and the governor for just a handful of days. He held a Walker gladiator fight in the center of Woodbury the night Michonne left, but she stayed. She saw tanks full of Walker heads and she stayed. She witnessed him making Merle and Daryl fight, but she stayed. She was told how the governor assaulted Maggie. She learned he had given the order to torture Glenn. I could go on and on and on about it, but time and time again, she chose him. She could have stayed at the prison, but chose to go back.
Don't save her, she don't wanna be saved.
What assassinated her character for me was Andrea pulling a gun on Michonne. I thought y'all were homegirls, sisterhood of the traveling dead type shit. Andrea gave a stranger more benefit of the doubt than Michonne. How are you gonna choose a guy you know for 5 days over the woman who saved and took care of you for 8 months? And I'm not even joking about that. Before Rick and the rest of the group came to rescue Maggie and Glenn, Andrea and Michonne met the governor on June 17th, 2011, and Michonne dipped out after refusing to stay with him on June 22nd. And it took Andrea nearly a week to finally see him for what he really was. What really kills me is how Andrea just ignores the glaring neon red flags flashing right in front of her. Every horrific thing the governor does, the heads, the fights, the manipulation, the torture, it's all there screaming danger, and she keeps brushing it off. This is where many fans call her stupid, but that's not it. Andrea was in heavy denial. Everything, losing everyone, constantly running, living in fear. She finally found a place that felt safe. Walls, order, a semblance of civilization. Of course, she wanted to believe in it. Michonne and Andrea were designed to mirror each other. Michonne shuts everyone out, hardened and untrusting, while Andrea, despite all her losses, still tries to open herself to trust. My thing is, how are you gonna trust a man who literally kept heads in tanks and still insists on seeing the best in him? Andrea absolutely deserved the hate for this stretch of the season. Michonne said it best.
You chose a warm bed over a friend.
And it stung because Andrea had the gall to accuse Michonne of turning the group against her, only for Michonne to call it for what it was, Andrea under the governor's spell. Michonne even revealed that he sent Merle to kill her and that she only returned to Woodbury to expose him. Even after the full horror of the governor's actions was laid bare, Andrea still went back, despite everyone's warnings. That return isn't defensible, it's heartbreaking, but it also sets up one of the show's best bits. While Andrea was holding baby Judith, my goat Carol, she gives her the most unorthodox pep talk imaginable. You need to give him your kitty kitty meow meow purr purr, give him the greatest night of his life. I'm talking about putting his head through the pillow, get him to drop his guard, and then when he's sleeping, slit his throat. Ooh, okay, Carol! It's wild and amazing to me that Carol started as a meek, abused housewife and ended up as a one-woman killing machine. 11 seasons later, she's a hardened survivor with her own spin-off show with Daryl. Anyway, back to Andrea. She lies in bed with the governor, giving him that pootie tang, and he's immediately slumped. Damn, that post-nut clarity must have hit him hard. She pulls out her knife and holds it over his neck and doesn't kill him?
Dishonor. Dishonor on your whole family. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your cow.
So what was the purpose of sleeping with him if the overall goal was to bed him down and end him? Listen, I'm a simple, basic ass chick. I would have poisoned his food and water. Next. If I'm going to be honest, Andrea's entire deal with the governor can basically be summed up with, I can fix him. I don't know how many times I gotta say this, but I will say this for the rest of my life. Your kitty cat cannot heal or fix a broken, damaged man. Stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Her killing the governor while he slept would have prevented so many deaths in the future. And we all know which death I'm talking about too. Still hurts me to this day.
To this day! To this day!
Later, Andrea uncovers the horrifying torture chamber the governor built just for Michonne, but she doesn't get far. Unbeknownst to her, the governor is already on her trail. He catches up to Andrea and drags her ass back to that torture room, turning her desperate flight into a nightmare. Milton, who helped her escape, is forced to confront the governor's wrath, ordered to kill Andrea as punishment. Milton instead attempts to take down the governor himself, a move that fails. He stabbed, turned, and bites Andrea, sealing her fate. It's a brutal chain of events that underscores just how little control Andrea truly had. But bro, I have to say this, the difference between the governor in the comics and the TV show couldn't be any more different. Comic book governor was pure evil, a demon in human skin. I'm just gonna say this without getting demonetized. He abused Michonne in ways that no one should ever go through. His abuse of Michonne was so graphic and horrific that the TV version said, hell no, the FCC will come for us so quick. This was paving the way for one of the most notorious and vicious revenge scenes in the Walking Dead series. If you a comic book head, you know exactly what I'm talking about. After days of torture and psychological torment, Michonne doesn't just escape, she comes back for the full-on vengeance. So I'm gonna put a timestamp of where you could skip if you don't want to hear what she does to him. Michonne tortures him by impaling him with an electric screwdriver, plucks off his fingernails, slices his arm off with her sword, cauterizes the wound with a blowtorch, shoves a spoon up his anus. It was also implied that she ripped off his penis, and carves his eye out with the same spoon that was up his butt. And get this, she doesn't even kill him, but leaves him alive, naked, and humiliated. Now I can see why the show never went down this route, because that was a lot. Going back to Andrea, the group arrives at Woodbury. Andrea is still alive, though her fate is sealed. There's a bittersweet moment where she echoes a line from season 1.
I know how the safety works.
Many fans over the years have criticized her death. Maybe it was because she wasted so much time talking to Milton instead of getting them damn pliers. Girl, you can multitask, talk and work. The real tragedy is how her character was handled leading up to it. Season 3 completely bodied Andrea. The actress herself has said that Andrea was originally intended to last 8 seasons, so whether you love or hated Andrea, her story is as much about loss of family, of autonomy, and the narrative potential she embodied. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the notification bell to never miss an update, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!